we've been talking about this for what, a few months at this point now. And
More.
basically, for those who don't know, maybe you don't drive Lyft, maybe you don't understand what the 70-30 split guarantee is. Basically, Lyft says, hey, you have a passenger that's going to pay their amount after external expenses, whatever the hell that is. We are going to then split the fare between us, where you get 70%, we get 30%. And we're going to guarantee you over a certain time frame that if you make under that 30%, or I'm sorry, under that 70%, we'll make you whole.
Yep.
We'll give you this nice little upcharge and give you some money there, and make it at 70-30. But what we've noticed is they like to change the numbers between Lyft's external expenses and Lyft's fee.
Yep.
So we got
when Jeremy was on, there. As you know, when Jeremy was on, I called Hocus Pocus a couple times. I don't think he liked that at all. But Jeremy, you have this email from me. Your team has the email from me. In fact, they got back to me and says, well, I go, can somebody at Lyft explain this to me? Because this is so self-explanatory that I can't do a better job than what this driver did. So Lyft is totally busted 70-30 Hocus Pocus. Well, that was my title. I put it on the Google Docs and shot it to Chris. So here we go. Pay attention, really close attention, folks, because all the math adds up on this one, okay? Been waiting for a clean one Lyft ride this week to show 70-30 Hocus Pocus. Finally got one last week. Please see attached screenshots. We're going to walk through those screenshots. Let's take our time on this segment. I took a screenshot right after the ride ended Monday. It showed I made 49% after external expenses, fees. No other activity on account other than a rider adding tip. So this gentleman did one single Lyft trip, Chris, one, all week, and then waiting for his top off. Okay? All right. Because he only got paid 49% after external expenses. Well, what's the deal? After external expenses is 70-30, right? So there should be a top off on this trip. By Friday, so this trip took on Monday. By Friday, that number crept up to 54%. By weekend, no activities to blunt any of the blunt my initial ride. It crept up to 56%, Chris. Now, Jeremy, if you're watching this, this is the Hocus Pocus part. On Thursday of this week, I got $3.37 adjustment, which is $2.14 lower than the $5.51 I would get if the external fees remained at Monday's 49%. Miraculously, Lyft fee shrank from $13.51 to $10.45 as the internal fees rose. Okay, so let's look at the screenshots first of all. This is the completed trip. The trip, the rider paid $34.95, and let's look at the second screenshot over. That number did not change. Now I want you to all to focus on these line items. $34.95 did not change, Chris. Okay. Originally, when he took the first screenshot at 49%, estimated commercial fees or external fees expenses was $744. Okay. Taxes and government fees was $392. Estimated Lyft fee was $10.45. It's pretty clear so far, and the tip came in at $8.74. All right, good. Let's look at the second screenshot over it. 34. No, not that one.
No. All the first screenshot is just it's showing it broken down. So when you hit the tips, it breaks it down when it was 11/24/25, and then the external fees were broken down. The other side is just the same exact thing. The only difference is it's not expanded. So it's the exact same numbers. Nothing has changed there. If you add 744, 392, that still equals 1136, 1045. So the driver made 2188 on that with the tip included.
Included the tip, right?
That's all that. But then when you go into these screenshots.
Yeah. When we go to the next one, so the passenger payments, $26.85, which was plus the tip. That's why it went up to 34 and change. $26.85. So the first screenshot he took was at 49%. and his earnings stayed at 13.14%. An estimated Lyft fee was at 51%, obviously, at 13.51, out of which, Chris, he was supposed to get $5 and change for the top off, because that's the only single trip he did. Yes? Okay. Then that number, passenger payments after external fees, dropped to 24.23. This is all way after. This is like 4 days later. It dropped to 24.23. His earnings obviously jumped, because when that number goes down, the second number goes up. So he went up to 54%, but his earnings still stayed at 13.14, Chris. All right.
Yeah, well, the earnings not going through because the external fee and the Lyft fee are the two that are being interchanged.
Yeah, and look at the third one. It went up to 56%. So all 3 times he took a screenshot, numbers were getting flipped around. And instead of getting a $5.50 top off, because of the last one takes precedence, okay, he ended up getting some $3.31, as he says in his original email. So Lyft, this is exactly the hocus pocus we're talking about. How is it possible that after a trip has ended, and then this is what the top off is, 337 he got, and it says clearly 337, 337, and literally it says, yeah, there's the earnings adjustment, right? 14%. 14% was 337, and I'm going like, this is what I would like you to explain to me, Lyft. When the trip is done and finished with, how can we move numbers around that this driver, instead of getting $5 and change, only got 337 as a top off? Because it's a natural math thing here. This is not rocket science, Lyft, okay? When you move the external expenses around, that's automatically going to affect what the driver's top off is going to be. That's simple, because it's after external expenses. If you jack up external expenses after the trip is over somehow, day 2, 3, 4, 5 later, you just shortchange this guy by $2 and change. Now, this is bigger numbers than Ubers and 25 to 50 cents at a time. Where is that money going? Why is this driver getting shortchanged? Why are the numbers getting flipped around on external expenses and Lyft fee? This is what I want to know, and I haven't gotten an email back yet.
Not just randomly, but like constantly. It was being changed 3 times that we saw when he had the screenshots. It just changed, today to this, and then the next day it was this, and then this.
How? That's what I want to know. That's all I said. I go, you guys, somebody at Lyft explained this to me, because this was the clearest evidence so far that I can remember of the hocus pocus. And this driver did an amazing job writing the letter, explaining it. So he went from 49% to 54% to 56%, and that's why his top off got affected. Clearly, there's no ifs and buts about it. I mean, it did. That's because the estimated Lyft fee moved around. It moved from the Lyft fee box to the external expenses box. External expenses kept going higher, and this driver's top off kept going lower. So Lyft, these numbers getting flipped around after day 2, 3, 5 later, the numbers changing, one needs an explanation, because it's directly affecting, and this driver did only one single trip, just one. That's all I'm saying, Lyft. You need to explain to me where this drive, why did you move the numbers around, number one. How is it possible? The trip is over. The guy is at home already. Everybody's done. How does external expenses change? And the lack of transparency and the opaqueness of this math blows my mind. And then they came back, they go like, so you want to know this? I'm like, no, it's self-explanatory, bro. How do numbers change after the trip is over? Not once, not twice, but 3 times for this driver to get $2.14 less. I don't know. Do you know, Chris? Can you make sense of this and explain it to me?
I can tell you why it makes sense. What? Because they don't want to pay the driver the actual 70/30, so they're like, oh, we can just change the numbers around. Nobody's paying attention to this. So again, we're going to do it, and we're going to switch it around. I mean,
Yeah, but
how
this has been
often are
going
they
on for
doing it?
like months now. Remember, we caught
Yeah.
this. There was a
How
problem
often?
with the
That's
tip.
the whole thing. How often are they actually doing it? Because I'm
What?
betting it's probably a lot more, and not many people are paying attention to it because you are not opening up your phone, you are not screenshotting when the ride is done, getting that receipt, and then checking it the next day, checking it the following days, and actually seeing all of that stuff.
I mean, look, you remember they accepted it, they admitted it. There was a glitch with the tip. When tip showed up, the numbers were getting flipped around, and that got fixed, right?
Yeah. Well,
But
that's
this
what
is
they're.
the clearest evidence of trip is over. We're done. I only did one single trip. You changing external expenses numbers because the 70-30 split is after external expenses is directly affecting my top off.
Yep.
It's simple. I mean, I don't know how else to explain this to you folks, really. And Lyft has these geniuses over there. Again, somebody at Lyft explained this to me. First question: how do the external expenses keep changing? Twice, 3 times, and
You know
each
what they're
time
gonna
they
do?
change.
Sleight of hand. They're gonna be like, "Hold on, don't look right here. Look over here. This is what we're talking about
Well,
over here.
yeah, but
Don't worry about over here. Don't worry about right here. Worry about here."
this driver was diligent enough to stick with the topic, and he had obviously seen the previous segments of our shows to say, "Okay, I got one. Do you want to look at it?" I'm looking at it. I'm like, "How? How?"
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at math, so this is why we call it hocus pocus Lyft. And then you don't like it. I'm sorry. As long as that external expenses number is arbitrary somehow, and it could change after a day or 2 or 5, and the driver top off gets affected, I'm going to pay attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
What else is there?
So, moral of the story is for everybody out there, screenshot everything and then go back and screenshot because we're seeing these numbers change. And yes, it can actually impact if you're getting a top off or not.
Hey everyone, Sergio here with the Rideshare Guide. What do we say on Show Me the Money Club? Work smarter, not harder. If you aren't using the Solo app, which I have been for the past year and a half, you may be working a lot harder than you need to. Let's change that. Download the app, link your account where you can manage your income, track your expenses, as well as your taxes. Not only that, but you can plan by optimizing your time, make more money, and even guarantee your daily pay with guaranteed earnings. Download the Solo app today. Begin to work smarter, not harder. Link is in the description. Let's get back to it.
Well, okay, so see, it's not complicated. It is complicated. They have an algorithm that goes through all rides and optimizes the numbers to me. Well, that would be very illegal.
Well, that's kind of the inference of what we're seeing.
That's fraud. But I'm not accusing Lyft with any of that. I just want an explanation. It's simple. You have it. I sent you all the screenshots, Lyft. I actually sent you this thing whole as is, as a whole package. And looking forward to that answer. And Jeremy didn't like it. I can tell by his facial expressions when I called it hocus pocus, because it is hocus pocus. What else is there? So.
Yep. I think, I mean, it's my opinion that they are changing the numbers post because not many people are paying attention to it. And they're just going to, be able to tweak the numbers the way they want. And, it may be affected differently if it's, only a few rides. Like this driver only had one ride to actually show you the top off versus, somebody who's going out there and doing 50, 60, 100 rides a week or something where,
Yes.
they can actually change the numbers based on all of that criteria. So you can get as close to that 70-30 as possible without necessarily meaning to finagle the numbers. But even though they can still finagle the numbers on the other end, and then instead it says, oh, you were actually supposed to get, 55% is where you were really at. But because of the number change and because you've taken so many rides and how we've changed it throughout, your entirety of driving, we are getting that to 81%. And then
But
that way,
should it be our job to do this? Well, I mean, we're driving already, is already stressful enough. Do I have to, like, even you say it correctly, if I did 100 trips, right? So on one trip you finagle the numbers, okay, whatever. But you literally have an algo out there that can finagle all 100 rides and pin me right at 70-30.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
That's why the
bullshit. That's why
70-30
it's
is
hocus
bullshit.
pocus. That's why I'm saying it's hocus pocus. I mean,
that's why 70-30 is absolute bullshit. 70-30 of what? Because there's no clear floor. There's no clear ceiling. There's no clear anything. There's no clear path. Oh, it's more clear. No, that's gaslighting. It's more opaque.
yeah, I don't know.
Because
So I'm looking
I mean,
forward to
how many times have we seen rides come in that are extremely similar to each other in time to pick up and distance to pick up? Same thing with time and distance for the actual ride itself around the same day, but maybe they're on different ends of town or whatever. And you're seeing a massively different way you're getting paid. You're seeing a massive difference on what the passenger's paying. I mean, it's all
that part, okay, that part I get it. But what I'm saying is that even Jeremy said when he was on our show a month ago, he said, it's up to the driver, up to the location, up to the time of day. External expenses number could vary wildly. Okay, I get that. This is not anything about that.
Once the ride's over,
once it's over, it's over.
But so here's the thing. I can understand where certain things can be wildly, but if you program your AI or to price out these trips according to the specifics, where it's okay, get this person as close to 70-30 as possible. Get all of these drivers as close to 70. That means they could throw any number they want at the driver. They could throw any number they want
so illegal
when it comes to the external expenses and all this. How's anybody going to know?
Well, if you're going to make it fit, if you have an algo that makes everybody fit into the 70-30, so you're top, so you shouldn't be out there boasting we're the only company guaranteeing a 70-30. Oh, by the way, we can finagle the numbers and make you fit that 70-30 at the end of the week if you do one trip or 100 trips. I mean, I'm questioning that. Forget ethics. That's illegal. That's fraud. That you should not. I'm just saying once the trip is over, no number should change.
The numbers shouldn't be changing at all, period.
That's it.
Once it's over, it's over. The only way it would change is if there was like an email that said there was an error because of whatever particular issue, so we had to correct it.
Yeah,
but that should be
okay. That
should be known. That should not be something where they're doing it in the back end, where not many people are actually paying attention to this. And you see the number change 3 times.
We should end on this comment, Chris. This is dead on. This will be like a huge company like Target or Walmart, doing some buying and selling, and they change your receipt afterwards. Or you go through this should be illegal because changing the invoices after service. I agree. Invoice should not change after service. Or if you do it, own up to it and fix it. Because again, this time is $2. How many drivers did it happen to? Lyft says they have over 1 million drivers in the US. How many times does this happen? Do we need to investigate this? Are we going to tell all of you to take screenshots of after each trip and then burden you with the investigative process of going back every day and looking at it if the numbers have changed? Because I want to know how deep this goes. Is it just a single trip? Is it an edge case? I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt. I'm really trying hard here, but this has been going on for a while. They said they fixed it with the tip issue, which they did, but this is so clear cut, right? That to me is like Chris said, once it's over, it's over. I mean, the trip is done. Whatever your algos calculated as far as external expenses should not change to the point that it's affecting my top off.
Yep. I mean, it is my opinion that they are doing this deliciously because we have seen it happen and change. There should be zero reason why anything changes, period.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
Period. There shouldn't, full stop, nothing. No reason. Once that ride is over, that receipt is done. The only way they're doing that is to cook the books, in my opinion.
I agree. Okay. Well, hopefully I'll hear from Lyft and then we'll do an update on this. So.
And we ask everybody out there as well, please take screenshots of this when you're driving Lyft. Go back. Yeah, it's going to suck if you're driving full time. You're taking 20 trips a day. It's going to suck going back every single day and having to check and compare. But if you can, set up some sort of spreadsheet or something. Maybe that can help. And then that way you can actually, see it and not necessarily, have to compare screenshots. If you got like 20 that you have to go through, you just go through, you just take the screenshot, next day, take the next screenshot, but fill it out on a spreadsheet or something that would make it a little bit easier for you. If you're doing one trip, that's a whole different story because it's easy to continue to go back.
Well, that's how you prove it, though. You do that single trip, and then your top off is all messed up. And
Yeah, no.
multiply that times millions and millions of drivers.
Well, that's the whole thing. It could be twofold. You could have the people who are taking a low amount of trips every week because, maybe they're just weekend warriors. Maybe Uber is busier and they get the one-off. I don't know where he went, but they get the one-off Uber, Lyft. I'm sorry, the Lyft rides. So their number count on Lyft is much smaller than, say, if they're driving Uber. But so they could have that where, they're going to continually finagle the numbers like that, and then going to the next one, it could be where you drive a lot more, and then they could show the different numbers on while it's being calculated while you're driving. So this particular ride, you made 30%. Lyft made 70%, so it was a complete flip flop. But then, the next 10 rides, they're like, oh, well, you made 90%, you made 100%, you made, whatever it might be. So it could be twofold. And that's an issue. That's why, if you go back and you look at all of the trips, you got to look at all of them, though, because that number change could be happening, whether you're taking 3 rides a week, whether you're taking, 300 rides. So it really just comes down to it. So yes, if you are able to do that, try doing that and seeing, ain't nobody got time for, if you're getting fucked out of money, I get pissed. People screwing me out of money, it don't happen. Maybe that's just the difference between you and me. The Italian in me will get you. Somebody's going to walk away with a broken leg. I'm just saying, you owe me money. I'm collecting. Yeah, that's me. No, Sergio didn't get hacked. He had to go to the bathroom, I'm assuming. But I'll wait until the next topic. But what do you guys think on this? What are your thoughts? What are your opinions? Put it in the chat. Let us know what you're thinking, because like I said, I really think that there's a malicious intent to that IMO. All right, thanks for watching. That short little clip was from our live stream, Show Me the Money Club, with Sergio and myself, Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe, turn on all notifications so you get notified when we go live, as well as all of our awesome content. Make sure to check out this video right here, which will take you to the entire live stream, or check out this video right there. All right, drive smart, everyone.